Like owning a comedy club is like having a birthday party every weekend and hoping somebody shows up to your party. That's how it feels. Like I'm sending out invites every week and I'm like, please come to my party. My name is Glen Martino, born and raised in Chicago. Yankee. The cool thing about being in Chicago was when I was there, everybody knew I was Italian. I moved to Texas, all of a sudden, Mexican. I was like, whatever. I know what you're thinking, the brown skin, it's gotta be Mexican. But I'm gonna break down some of the stereotypes to you guys right now. Number one, I don't know how to fix a car. My grass isn't nicely cut. Number three, my credit is
I'm Tim Slagle. Welcome to Stand Up, Sit Down. That was Glen Martino doing a set that he's very proud of.
Not very.
That was, what year was that?
I want to say that was 2002. Probably I've only been doing stand-up at that point for about a month. So yeah, like you said, I'll be taking that off the internet very fast.
Well, unfortunately now it's there forever.
Yeah. Oh.
So you started in 2002. Was that your home club that was taped at?
Yeah, that was Cap City Comedy Club out of Austin, Texas. That's where I started. Started on a dare after an actual comedy show that I had gone to see, and afterwards they had an open mic night after the show. And I was 8 beers in, so I said, sure. Then Margie Coyle came up to me afterwards, and she was like, your stage presence is amazing. You know, I haven't seen anyone like you since Jerry Seinfeld. And
wow.
Didn't know who Margie Coyle was. Grabbed another beer. Somebody's like, do you know who that was? And I was like, no. They're like, that's the owner of the club, and she owns this with Rich Miller. And still didn't know who that was until they said, oh, Dennis Miller's brother. Then I took it serious, and on the way leaving, she had stopped me at the door, and she was like, hey, why don't you come on back next week, you know, do 3 more minutes. So I was hooked after that.
Wow. Wow. And then how long did it take after that before you started getting bookings?
I got booked on a show called United Colors of Comedy with like Jesse Pangilinan, J.R. Brow, I think was on there, Jimmy Roulette. And I got booked on that show probably 5 months in.
Wow.
And then on my 6th month, I got the feature spot, and I worked with Al Madrigal. And, emceed. I emceed for Al Madrigal at that point. And then I was like, this is what I want to do.
Huh.
Yeah, I was not smart.
Well, you know, when you go that fast, you know, from 8 beers, you know, an 8-beer dare to opening, you know, a paid slots, why wouldn't, you know, you at that point you think the world's your oyster?
Exactly. And that's what now being a club owner, I try to slow them down because everyone wants to, you know, fly before they even are hatched.
Sure.
And it's like, it can burn you out quick because you start getting that success and you feel like everything's going quickly and you're getting gig after gig after gig. And, you know, it's like, you got to put in the work. You have to put in the work.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to have a video on YouTube that you're going to have to call your wife right after the show and say, please take that off.
Yeah, I don't even know where I got that shirt. I'm pretty sure that was like Gadzooks circa.
Oh. So you mentioned briefly you're a club owner now. You have not. Yes. You no longer do stand-up.
Did my last stand-up show, I was with Angela Johnson. We had 7 sold-out shows. Best way to go out.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was my last time.
Did you know it was going to be, or did you just...
I was getting to a point where I was burnt out. Like, before bookings of shows, as you're getting ready and getting dressed, I was like, I don't want to go. You know, It got to that point where it was more work than fun.
Uh-huh.
And so I knew, you know, I had a girlfriend. We were engaged, and I wanted to be at home instead of on the road. But the seed of owning my own club wasn't in my head. I mean, that was like the dream back in the day to have your own club. But I didn't think it was really going to happen until, it was, I think, 2015, 2016, the seed started getting planted, and I was going to have a partner. That didn't work out, and then I kind of gave up on it, but then it presented itself again.
So how long was it in between that mic drop and then the club?
4 years.
Oh, wow. What'd you do in the meantime?
I had a regular job.
Boy, that'll
Yeah.
that'll make you long for those horrible days getting ready for a 45-minute show.
You would think, but consistent salary pay. I was like, wow, I'm making good money. So
my credit's good.
Yes, my credit. And as that joke said, that's not true anymore. I have fantastic credit.
Oh, well, you opened a club, so
yeah,
probably had to be somewhat.
Yeah. We had three options when we were looking. We looked at Oak Brook, we were in Lombard, and then the welcoming that I got at Bolingbrook was just like, it was a no-brainer. The mall opened up open arms with me, wanted me to come in, so that was the deciding factor. And I think the South Side area, because we get a lot from New Lenox, Frankfurt, Lockport, Romeoville, Aurora, they needed it. Something in that area since, Riddles wasn't in Orland anymore. There was still.
I think we haven't really told people where your club is or what it is.
Oh,
yeah.
It's located at the Bolingbrook Promenade. We're on the Morse Entertainment side where the iPic Theater is, right next door to H&M. I mean, that's where every comedy club should be, right next to a clothing store.
So that was 4 years later. That was you opened just before the pandemic.
Oh yes, that's nothing better than dropping a lot of money into a place and then being told you have to close down. Yeah, it was rough. We put I was a house. When I was going to buy a house, I put it into the business, thinking, the business will buy the house later. Well, when pandemic hit, homelessness was looking. I'm like, I can live in my club. But we survived. We navigated through, thanks to people like yourself, comedians like yourself that were, there for us when we needed you guys.
Well, there's not enough clubs that are owned by comics, and a lot of the clubs, I always say that they treat the comics just like meatballs at the happy hour buffet. We're just there to get you into their bar to drink.
Right.
But when a comic runs a club, you understand, the nuances of what needs to be done and how the room has to be set up and things like that. It makes it a much better experience for the comic and the audience, I think.
So I'll flip this to you. So you've been in my club. How is the experience for you?
It's fantastic. It's stripped down. There's no amenities, unnecessary amenities there. It's everything that has to be in a club is there. The lighting's perfect. The sound is awesome. I mean, you're right there. You're right there with the cues to bring people up and down and like the show. And it's everything necessary for a good comedy show exists in that room. You've got a lower ceiling so the laughs stay in there. What do you seat?
We seat 90 inside there, and it's just funny. I like hearing your guys' side of it, the comics, because a lot of comics always want to record a set there because they say that the acoustics are amazing. The room is very intimate. The audience is like engaged, and that was my top priority when running a club. Is how I wanted to do it from when I started, where it wasn't. Bigger is not always better.
Oh, no.
To me, it's like when you can see the expressions of a comedian's face, you can see an eye movement or just a head nod, and you can be a part of that moment. It really brings you into that stand-up, and it really makes you part of the performance.
Yeah, you were saying before that the people will watch comedy on TV and they don't realize it's a different experience.
Right. We had one of the other business owners in the Promenade. He was telling me, he's like, I watch it on TV, but I don't laugh. It's not my thing. I don't think I'd ever go to a comedy club. And he just came to a show this weekend, and he was laughing the entire time. And he said, man, he brought 6 of his friends, and they all enjoyed it. And one of them was their first time ever at a stand-up club. And
which is amazing to me that it's been around so long and there are
Yes.
still people that have not come into a comedy club.
I don't think enough people think of it as, it's a great date night. It's different than, your typical, just going to a bar and having drinks, because even if it's a bad night of comedy, like,
Yeah, in which case it becomes an escape room.
yes, pretty much. And you have something to go talk about later. You and your wife are like, hey, wasn't that guy bad?
This is the worst escape room ever.
We're located next to escape room. Yeah, it's different. And I always tell people, come see a live comedy show. It's different than TV.
So how long did you tour before?
I was on the road full-time touring for about a good 7 years, and was out on the road working the circuit. Started off in Texas and then worked my way through Chicago area doing the Midwest, and then did a little bit of the LA and that side. So it was fun. It was really good when it was, when it was fun, but then it got to the point where, okay, I kind of want to go home.
I'm done with it. The free drinks just aren't cutting it anymore.
No, love the drinks.
Anyway, that's all for this segment. So we'll talk more about running a comedy club versus being a comedian shortly after this on Stand Up, Sit Down.
Hi, I'm Glen Martino, and I'm going to be auditioning today for The Voice, and from Chicago.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my...
No, all right, thanks.
And we're back with Stand Up, Sit Down. That's Glen Martino doing a very funny little shtick for the internet. That's funny. That's it reminds me of every time I've done something like that. I took my niece to American Idol and dragged her through that. I've done a Last Comic Standing a couple times. And it's you had mentioned before that if you had actually done The Voice with that,
Right, I probably would have gotten on air. Because as you know, we have every audition. If the quirkier you are, the more they'll air it, and the talent they won't put on.
right.
And-
They do the people. Usually, the people that get on are the people that have management that actually shove them on, or the people that show up with the most ridiculous outfit.
And I found that out at Last Comic Standing auditions in Minneapolis. There was this guy who was dressed in this weird thing, and they put him on TV, and we waited all night in the cold, and then management was pushing their comics through, and they were getting, and I got up there, and didn't even get to say where I was from, and an aunt was just like, next.
I was there that week.
Yeah, that was the one I was at.
That was like there were people lining up outside, and it was 16 degrees below zero.
Yeah, those people were me. I got there the night before, and I was sleeping out on the sidewalk to hopefully have my shot.
Oh my gosh! And
Didn't happen.
Aunt just went, nah.
Yeah.
Yep.
As soon as I got up there, he was like, next. And I wanted to make a scene, but I'm like, no, because then they'll put that on the air.
You know what's really funny is some people sitting there at home are going to have to Google Ant.
Yeah.
Because they have no idea who we're talking about. That star crashes fast for some people, huh?
That was a cold weekend. That was a very cold weekend.
I remember I was actually working at the club that week.
Oh, so you had an invite.
Yeah. Invite, hotel room, drinks. Yep. Everything covered.
I had a bottle of water.
When you started.
Yes.
Had lots of ice when they were done. So we were talking earlier about your traveling. You said you spent a little time in LA. Did you actually try to get into the scene there?
I had a lot of comic friends that were able to like kind of help me get into the clubs when I got there. Dove Davidoff was one of them. Very nice comic. And it's really what I've noticed when you go to LA as visiting comic, they'll get you up. They'll be like, hey, buddy of mine, get him on stage, Then if you move there, it's like, get to the end of the line. It's like, you're not a guest anymore. Get to the end of the line. So I tried not to ever live there.
Right. You did not, didn't enjoy it?
No.
Didn't see a goal there?
Yes. I'm like, if I'm going to be poor, I'd rather be... Should have just stayed there. I mean, the weather's better, but, at least I had connections here and I had a home here, so it made it worth it. But...
Yeah, it's easier to be homeless in L.A.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it's not like the 16-degree audition weather.
So we were talking earlier about the opening the club right before the pandemic.
Yes.
And quite interestingly, I think I was booked at your club.
We had, funny story, during the pandemic, we had you booked, I believe, three times.
3 times.
And every time we had you booked, once your weekend came, we got shut down.
The weekend of.
The weekend of, each 3 times. So my question is, who have you pissed off at the state of Illinois?
Well, we'll find out when VPOD-TV gets their broadcast license pulled.
This show is going to be canceled today.
Oh, crap, he figured it out.
Because I wanted to book you in December, but I want to be open.
Right. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what'll happen at this point? It's. I don't think. Here's my prediction right here. The show will probably air by the time the prediction comes true. I don't think they're going to shut down.
I don't think they will shut down.
I don't
but
think people are going to stand for it again.
They'll do limit restrictions, I believe. I think it'll get to that point. I don't think anyone will follow them like they didn't last time. So, my doors are open.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice thing about a 90-seat room, though. It's. I mean, even with only 45 in there, it still feels
full.
Yeah.
And we're able to still, survive.
Yeah. You go to the comedy mega theaters and they're 300 people in there still feels empty.
Yeah. And that was my fear, is like, getting 90 people to come. It's like I told you, it's like owning a comedy club is like having a birthday party every weekend and hoping somebody shows up to your party. That's how it feels. Like I'm sending out invites every week and I'm like, please come to my party. I only need 40.
I'll have cake.
Yes. But, to me, it's like I just want the room full because we do a really good job there of producing great comedy shows. From the headliner to the feature to the MC. It's from the beginning of the show, the integrity of the room and the integrity of the shows that I run is I want to give a great show all the way around. And I try my best to make sure that happens.
And it's weird when you're doing comedy. I mean, maybe it wasn't the same for you. I mean, you went pro within 5 months. But there's always this animosity that exists that the comics are always talking trash about club owners, and then club owners are always talking trash about comics. And now you've seen both sides of it.
Yes,
it's probably stuff that irritated you as a comic. You understand why you were irritating comics as a booker.
Yes. I do, and that's like I take things personally because I see it from both sides. I get it from a comics point of view. Been there. I've done bar gigs and ran bar gigs. And now as a club owner, I'm like, why are you doing a bar gig when you can do it in a comedy club? It's like, so I get both sides of it. But again, it's like, I see, like I said, it's all about the integrity. I see so many open mics at bars that get canceled on a whim because, another party came in. So that lets me know that they don't respect the comedy, that they'll cut an open mic to have a party come through. Where I'm always going to have a room open, and I consider my club a comedy club. I hate turning people away at open mics. But then again, I don't want to run 75 people on it. I think a 7-hour show is way too long.
It's not a 7-hour show. It's a 7-hour open mic.
Yes, exactly.
It's much different than a show.
Exactly.
You actually do have an open mic. It's every Thursday.
Every Thursday night. Sign up is every morning of the open mic night, which is Thursday morning at 11 a.m. You can email bookinginfo@CG's Comedy Club. The first 24 comics that email that I like, no, I'm just kidding, we'll get a spot. No, I actually take it from first email that we get at 11 o'clock to the 24th spot. And that's how we book our comics. We actually book directly from the open mics, our MCs and possibly even features from the open mics. And it's a good way to see talent that, I don't know. It's funny because I was telling people, a lot of these new comics don't know who I am. They don't know that I was an actual performer and I was actually a road touring comic. But it's like, then, the ones that are like, oh, why am I getting booked there? I don't know you. Come to the open mic. Let me know who you are. It's like, I got to see the talent. I got to see it.
Yeah, it was actually funny. It was a guy I knew, you met, I think said something to the effect that you don't know what funny is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no. I know what would have not got me booked back.
Right. And it's funny because like a lot of them don't know what a press kit is. It's like, give me your bio. You got a headshot. You got a reel I can look at. Something that's when I say, yeah, do your best 5-minute club ready material, and then they come out with, I can't use any of that. And again, great at an open mic, but if you want to get booked, I need, clean. Especially if you're going to be an MC, I want to make sure that you can, do clean, get the room started, and then keep a show going, as opposed to just, trust me, and you know me. I was very shocking as a comedian, and things that I said would have canceled me instantly today. So I don't try to censor comedians, but there is a level of, you got to put in the work to get to that point.
Yeah. It's funny first.
Yes.
Is the and it's easy to be funny and dirty. That's why every 8-year-old boy is hilarious to other 8-year-old boys.
Do you have any I can book? That sounded way wrong.
We'll
as the R. Kelly music plays. But that's the thing. Like when I started, I was very clean. Very squeaky clean. And as I discovered, the more I got into comedy, and by that 6th year, 7th year, I started finding my voice and figured out things that I wanted to say at that point. And some of it was edgy, to say the least. But if it's funny, if the joke's here, the funny better be here. And not just here, and then you got nobody laughing because it was just too offensive. So you got to walk that fine line. But, I know what works in my room and what my customers want, and then I know what I want to see.
And it's a little hint to your hint for all you new guys coming up, all you little leaguers. Probably why you got booked was because you could do clean.
Exactly.
And that's all for our clean segment. Stick around if you're listening to it on the podcast, and we're going to do our internet only segment.
But I will say this, you ladies are a little weird, and especially the ones that are around 22 to 29. And it's because of music you guys listen to. Like, I'm 40 years old, you guys. When I was growing up, we had great love songs. Do you guys remember the great love songs? Like Anita Baker, Luther Vandross, Johnny Gill? Those were great love songs. My, 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 my. You sure look good tonight. I'm like, fuck yeah. But now you go to a club and ask a girl to dance, what do you get? Let me put it in your butt just a little bit. Oh, butt in your pants just a little bit. What? And she's on the dance floor like this. I hope he calls me. But I'm not calling you, you're a whore.
And it's the bonus segment of Stand Up, Sit Down. I'm Tim Slagle. That's Glen Martino, blushing a little.
You know why? A perfect example of why good quality high res audio and video is the best way to get booked at a club, and not stuff like that. Oh, what was I thinking?
What exactly what were you thinking? What was this?
It was a bar gig.
Uh-huh.
As obviously it's like the sound was bad
Sure.
because it sounded like there was nobody in there, and it's like you could barely hear the laughs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna go with that. But it was a bar gig, and as a comic you take them, and I drove I think 2 hours to do a 12-minute spot.
Huh. For $25?
Yeah, no pay at all. No pay at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just for stage time.
Just for stage time.
Just for the antics there.
And now being a club owner, I try to. I look at it this way: if I'm charging at the door, the comics will get paid. I don't. I tried things to get people to, come out, invite people. You sell the tickets. $10 a ticket. If you sell 10 tickets, you get $100. You keep the money. I don't want it. At least you're telling jokes to an audience.
Right.
Well, people were bashing me. Oh, he's running a bringer room. It's not a bringer room if you're making the money. You're getting paid. Because I've done showcases for big clubs for free. Why?
I think it's because comedy for some of us, for me, I think even is it's more of an addiction than a career choice.
Yes, and it's more of an ego.
Yeah. Well, yeah, same thing.
You got to feed that ego.
Yeah.
And as long as you got a room full of people, I'm ready. and yeah, I agree because I was the same way. I needed that fix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You need a fix. You'll drive 2 hours in the middle of the night to a questionable neighborhood for that fix.
Oh yeah, you would. And yes, it's like comedy is, but the bad thing is you're only as good as your last show, and if you do a bad bar gig, you got to carry that to your next weekend show.
Oh yeah.
And you just are like, why am I doing this again?
and most people, I mean, me, I've done the bar gigs. But I don't tape them and put them on the internet.
Yeah, I would like to say I was young and naive, but I was 40. But you know what?
You're going to go home tonight. You're going to go, honey, can you delete everything off the internet?
That got a lot of views though.
Wow.
I want to. Well, I mean, depending upon what some people think a lot of views are now. Now, I mean, anything under 4K is nothing.
Right.
But I filmed that on a flip camera. If you remember those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
I won a flip camera. There was a contest. There was a comedy contest, and the one of the consolation prizes was a flip camera. I can't remember what the contest was but I remember I had the flip camera.
Yeah, and that's what I had. That's my level of technology was just to put it on a flip camera, and yeah. I wish I would have not had a flip camera.
Yeah, because that was the advantage of the flip camera. You just had to plug it into your computer. It would go right on the internet, right?
It was instant. And that, for me, I'm not tech savvy at all, so that worked. And now, I mean, everything that you have to do, like the setup here, I'm like, I'm in awe. I feel like the Russian boxer, at Rocky, just looking around at everything, and it's nice.
Did your flip camera have a tripod mount?
It had the thing for it, the hole?
Screw hole.
Yes, but
mine did not.
Oh,
I had to actually.
Peasant.
I know. Well, it was like I said. I won it free from an online comedy contest, and I had to actually glue a nut onto it so that I could actually screw it onto a tripod. I still remember that.
Huh.
And
yeah, I know mine had. Yeah, I think I still put it on the table though. I couldn't afford a tripod.
Yeah, I get a bean bag. It's much easier to carry out.
But that's the funny thing now. Comics come in just to, walking in with like gear like this to record an open mic set.
Yeah.
Why? I'm like, really? Go for it.
I have seen that. I haven't seen the. I don't think I've seen any on the internet that people have put up. But it's probably because they.
They watch it later and they're like,
they watch it later. They go, "Oh, I shouldn't have rented that camera. That's a couple $100 I won't ever get back."
Because one comic came in with something very, and I was like, "Are you with the news?" Like I didn't know what he was like. No, I'm going up tonight. I'm like, all right.
For 4 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
we do 5, Tim.
Oh.
And I'm trying to think of different ways too, because I know like in the city, it's hard for comics to grow because they're only getting 8-minute set spots, and
Right.
it's like, I want to do something where we could do a draw. If we draw your name, that you'll get 10 minutes out of an open mic night. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we'll pick 5 comics, drop the names in there, and then draw it just to give them more time. Because I know like comics like yourselves or, national touring comedians, I get it. I wouldn't stop by all the time to open mics if I'm only getting 5 minutes.
Right.
It's like you want to get more time to work on the bits that you want to work on.
I don't think I have any bits that are 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, you're just getting into it. You're just welcoming, and it's like, and I feel bad because I don't want a newbie to say, well, why did he get 10 minutes? And well, because he earned it.
Yeah.
It's like, but why would you do? Because it's my club. And it's like they've earned it. You've earned the spot to do 10.
No, when I started, it was really weird because there would be these acts in L.A. and New York, and their managers would push them on the clubs, and the club owners would be like, I don't want, no. Because they would bring in the L.A. Or New York act, and all they had was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that's all they ever got in L.A. or New York. They all had killer 5 minutes, and then 40 minutes of where you from. But us road dogs, we could handle the 45 easily. So us unknown road dogs with no management or agents, we're getting a lot more bookings than these people sitting out in L.A. and New York.
Because you had the solid time.
Right, and now it's changed to the point where in Chicago it's kind of the same thing where it's all 5-minute clubs now.
Right, and I want to book them, and I tell them, hey, I need a feature. How much time do you have? Well, I have 20. My features do 30. So it's like...
Yeah, and you should have 40 before you want to do 30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's nothing personal. It's like I'm not trying to not see them grow, but, there's a difference between, let's say, a 30-minute bar set to a 20-minute comedy club set. It's totally different. And, they're like, well, I did good at it. My jokes killed at the bar. Yeah, and they're drunk. It's like,
I really feel sorry for a lot of these guys because they only do the open mics, and all the audiences they've ever worked for is other comics. Mm-hmm. And they have no idea that civilians don't laugh at the same stuff that other comics.
Yeah.
There was a woman I saw at an open mic. I don't remember the joke. Write it. You can write the joke. I'll just give you the punchline. The punchline was, "A Holocaust in my vagina." And naturally, it was an open mic.
Yeah.
Killed. Standing ovation. The comics were doubled over laughing on the floor. And all I could think is that this poor girl is going to be shocked when she uses that as her closing bit at the Rotary Club luncheon.
But as we booked her as a headliner, she destroyed. Oh. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I want comics to grow and thrive, and that's what I tell people. And a lot of comics still back me to this day. They're like, Glenn knows what he's talking about, and the only advice he's giving you is to make you better. I'm not trying to derail your career.
Right.
I'm trying to help your career.
Well, the thing you want comics to actually start at your club, become very, very famous, and when people and when Entertainment Tonight asks them where they started, say, well, I was at CG's Comedy Club, and Glen Martino was very supportive of me all, and that's what you want.
Yeah. Really.
That's kind of how Second City built.
Yeah.
Is that the acts that became very famous that came through there? So of course, why would you Why would you want to hurt anyone?
Yeah, I want to see them all succeed, and exactly just like you said, and if they don't say my name on TV, whoo.
I'll say it again. It's Glen Martino.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for dropping by.
Thanks for having me.
Watch us here on channel 59.3 or on the podcast on VPOD-TV. Good night, everybody. See you next week.